Hey you guys, I wanted to do a little video because I got really frustrated about something this weekend and I wanted to voice my frustration. Listen to it if you want, don't if you don't. Having a son with diabetes, and yes, I talk about it a lot, but we were on a student government trip for the Kentucky United Nation Assembly for middle schoolers. We ate at a bunch of different places, and a few were in the hotel itself, and this was a very fancy hotel, and it had a very nice restaurant, and they were super cool. The part that bothers me, and this wasn't just at this hotel restaurant. This was when the kids are going through the line. They made a meal for all the kids a couple of different times. We only ate that meal once. And then we ate at the restaurant a couple of times. And then on the way home, we ate at a restaurant. And there was one other place that I had eaten recently with Mason. And this happened at all the places. I have to know the carb count in the food that Mason eats. A lot of people will think diabetes, oh, she needs to know the sugar to give the insulin. And that's not the case at all. I have to know the amount of carbs in either the whole meal or that he's going to eat, or each individual item, so that I can add it up and give the proper amount of insulin. If you give the wrong amount of insulin, it's super dangerous, like super dangerous. And at these restaurants, before we ordered, we asked every time, do you know the carb count of this food, this item right here? Because we would like to get that for my son, and he's a type 1 diabetic, and he has to have insulin for everything he eats. And every time the waitress and whoever was helping us was like, oh, no, I don't. If it's not on the menu, I don't know. I said, well, can you please ask someone in charge if they know the carb count? And couple of the really nice restaurants we went to, the waitress went off back into the restaurant and they talked to their chef. And yes, they had head chefs, and these are, I assume, very well trained chefs. And at one restaurant in this hotel, they came out and they asked me, now you need to know the carb count, right? Because the calories is on the menu. I said, yes, I need to know the carb count. The calories don't matter. And so she went back in to talk to the chef, and she came back and she's like, I asked the chef 3 times about the carb count, and he told me he doesn't know, and that it's probably 1,500 carbs in a fish sandwich. No. There's not 1,500 carbs in a fish sandwich. There's like 25 carbs in a fish sandwich. And so I was really frustrated because and then at another restaurant, they're like, well, you can just look it up online. And I'm thinking, you're the restaurant. You have a chef who's preparing this food. Yeah, I could probably guesstimate online, but wouldn't it be a good service for you guys to have to know the carb counts in your food? I mean, if I can look it up online, and yes, I know the logic. I'm the person going in to eat at these restaurants. I'm the one taking my diabetic son. That's true. And yes, I had to guesstimate every single meal that he ate to figure out what the carb counts are. But if we can figure out the amount of calories in every single item on the menu, including the drinks, why can't we figure out the carbs and have that printed on the menu as well? I can't tell you how many people out there that are not diabetic that are counting carbs as well to try to lose weight. So wouldn't that just benefit your restaurant to have the carb count as well? And number one, don't ever tell someone there's 1,500 carbs in something, because that would be incredibly rare. I mean, we got a piece of cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory, and when I looked it up, and it was Godiva chocolate cheesecake, there was only like 95 carbs in an entire giant piece of chocolate cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory. So telling someone that there's 1,500 carbs in something in one item on their plate, if you don't know what you're doing, and I hope that every diabetic does, or at least somebody that's taking care of them, you can kill someone. You have to do math to figure out First, you need to know how many carbs. Then you need to divide it by a certain number to get the amount of insulin that you need to give to a kid or yourself or an adult. And if your blood sugar is high, you need to also do more math and then add those two numbers together. So I find it rather frustrating that a trained chef in like a 4-star restaurant tries to tell me that there's 1,500 carbs in a fish sandwich. Or when I go to a different restaurant, they look at me and say, well, you should just look it up online. Do you want patrons to come to your restaurant? I don't think it's too much to ask. It was incredibly frustrating because it happened everywhere we went. Everywhere. It's frustrating.